Alright, so this is 9.9b, I guess we'll call it. This is where we're going to combine all of our molecular, all of our ionic, and our acids into one, so we can practice with our foldable. With this, remember, all acids, so according to your foldable, all acids start with H plus. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, I have specific naming rules. Go use your foldable. So for instance, if I have a H4C, I know that I'm going to start with just hydro because there's only H and C. And then it's going to be carbonic acid. So it has that hydro because there's only one. Now, if it's something like this one, if I have, no, this makes it, there's less fun on here. There's no 8s. But if I have ClO2, I know that is going to be chlorite because chlorate has ClO3. So since it has less hydrogen, I know I'm going to have an ite. So remember, ite goes into us. And then 8 goes into it, just ick. So no hydro. So we would drop it, go to hydro. So if I have this, I'm going to write, so I have chlorous acid. Now, the nice thing about these down here is that even the hydrogens don't say that they are. So it's just giving you your, so hydrogen disulfide would be HS2. So that is not technically an acid because that's not the way that it works, because so it's not ionic. Now, if it does have the ionic to where you are combining the two, then it is going to be an acid. Now, on all of these, I am looking at the specifics of the numbers at the bottom or all my prefixes. So remember, if it doesn't have a prefix on the first one, that's just going to mean that it is 1. But if it has a prefix, it's always going to have a prefix on the second one. So in this case, if I have monoxide, I'm just going to have CO. So carbon monoxide is just going to be C and O because I have no prefix on the first one and I have a mono on the second one. So the difference is on this one, I see that I have trichlorine, so I'm going to have Cl, and then I have a 3, and then I have hexasulfide, so that means I have S6. So if it doesn't follow the ionic rules for your hydrogens, it's not an acid. But on this one, we see that it is H2S9, so that means it's not going to be that acid rule. It is going to be dihydrogen non-sulfide. Okay, so you're just going through, you are going to figure out your prefixes and you're putting down the specific one that it is for that one. Now on the back page, on the first part, it is pretty easy. You're determining if it is ionic or molecular. You just put A or I and then B or M to figure out which one it is. Write the formula for each of the following compounds if it is an acid. So in formula type. So for instance, if I have aluminum hydroxide, I'm going to put ionic on there. But if I have hydrogen fluoride, it can actually turn into, like it says, if it's an acid, correct the acid for what it is. So if it's just hydrogen fluoride, that means I know that it's going to be hydrofluoric acid. So that's why I would put that there. I don't have to put the acid again. I can just put HF, and the same thing if I go for aluminum hydroxide. Now, remember, this is ionic, but it's also a base because it ends in hydroxide. So if I have ammonium hydroxide, I look up on my periodic, or on my ions list, and I see that ammonium is in H4, and I see hydroxide is OH, because I know that based on my bases, so OH. Okay, so that's what you're going to do for all these. It shouldn't take very long. You should be able to get it all done, and it's extremely helpful to figure out how to use your foldable before you do your test. Okay, and remember, always keep your foldables because they can be used on every test forever. All right, let me know if you have any more questions. Remember, if we have something that is like this, one other thing, if we have a 4, I know that my ion is going to be a +4. So I would remember to write out all my ionic bonds like this, so it's easier to figure out, because I have +SO4, sulfate is 2 minus, so that means it's going to equal PB parentheses SO4 2. It's easier to do it when we write it out and we figure out what we need for it, because we always need to make sure crisscross, reduce, get your charge. All right, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask.